Ever wondered if love has a price? Ayaan did. He was a man of numbers, a financial analyst who saw the world through the lens of profit and loss. Every decision he made was calculated, every move meticulously planned. Love, to him, was no different. It was an investment, one that he believed should yield returns, but life, as it often does, had other plans for him. When Mira left with just a text, Ayaan cracked. He didn't cry, he calculated, he sat down with his spreadsheets and tried to make sense of the loss. How much time had he invested in her? How many rupees had he spent on dinners, gifts and vacations? He tallied the hours lost in conversations, the seconds wasted in waiting for her replies. It was a cold, clinical dissection of a relationship that had once been warm and full of life. Seconds wasted, rupees spent, hours lost. Ayaan's mind was a whirlwind of numbers and equations. He tried to quantify the unquantifiable, to put a price on the emotions he had felt. It was his way of coping, of making sense of the chaos that had suddenly engulfed his life. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find a satisfactory answer. Love, it seemed, was beyond his understanding. Love, he concluded, was a transaction. A series of exchanges that, in the end, left him poorer. He threw himself into his work, determined to forget the pain. He became even more successful, climbing the corporate ladder with ease. But no matter how much money he made, no matter how many deals he closed, there was a void in his heart that he couldn't fill. Cold, rational, untouchable, Ayaan thrived, until he met Elira. She was different from anyone he had ever known. She was warm, spontaneous and full of life. She didn't fit into his neat little boxes, didn't conform to his expectations, and yet he was drawn to her, like a moth to a flame. She made him feel things he had long forgotten, emotions he had buried deep inside. She made him feel dangerous things, emotions that threatened to unravel the carefully constructed life he had built. He tried to resist, to keep his distance, but it was no use. Elira had a way of breaking down his defenses, of reaching the parts of him that he had thought were long dead. With her, he felt alive again, in a way he hadn't in years. One night she asked, "If love had a cost, would you pay it again?" It was a simple question, but it struck Ayaan to his core. He had spent so long trying to avoid the pain of love, to protect himself from the hurt. But in that moment, he realized that the pain was a part of the experience, a part of what made love so precious. Without the risk, without the possibility of loss, love would be meaningless. Her grave read 1988-2013. Ayaan froze. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. Elira was gone, had been gone for years. He had been living in a dream, a fantasy that his mind had conjured up to protect him from the pain. But now, standing in front of her grave, he couldn't deny the truth any longer. She was gone, and he was alone. She whispered, "You remember what it is to feel." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it cut through the fog in his mind. He remembered the joy, the laughter, the warmth of her touch. He remembered the pain, the heartbreak, the nights spent crying himself to sleep. But most of all, he remembered the love that had made it all worth it. He took her hand, and for the first time in years, his heart beat again. It was a small, tentative beat, but it was there. He felt the warmth of her hand in his, the softness of her skin. It was a connection, a lifeline that pulled him back from the brink. He realized that love wasn't something you could measure or quantify. It was a feeling, an experience that defied logic and reason. The man who measured everything began to cherish the one thing he couldn't quantify: love. It was a lesson he had learned the hard way, but it was one he would never forget. Love was priceless, beyond measure, and it was the one thing that made life worth living. Ayaan smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile, as he looked out at the world with new eyes. He was ready to live, to love, and to embrace the uncertainty of it all.